So I'm going to introduce to you now a woman that is a trailblazer. Let me say that for now. Her name is Tayo Alexis. She is a lead technical program manager, and she has worked within strategic infrastructure technology programs, including hybrid, cloud, public, and private. And she's delivered these throughout multiple squads based in the UK, Central Europe, and India. So what she's going to do is she's going to give you a presentation. So please give a warm round of applause for Tayo Alexis as she comes to the stage.
Thank you. So I'm going to pose a question. When you think of TESCO, what comes to mind for you? Anyone? Food? Groceries?
Club card.
Club card? Yes, love that. Go ahead. You, sir. Yes, absolutely. So, you know a little bit about us. So, of course, yeah, grocery. When you think about Tesco, people think about, how am I going to get my bread, my milk, my beans, my whatever? But what if you got there and there was nothing on the shelves? What if you couldn't access anything at all? Then what? Did you know that Tesco is in 6 locations? Did you know that we have stores in 5 of those locations? Did you know that we have a whole tech campus in India and in every single one of those countries, apart from Ireland? So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Tesco's scale and what it takes to be at that scale, at that level, delivering, and all the innovation that sits behind it. I'd like to move about, but I've got to stand here to press the button. So our value is that we serve our customers, our community, and our planet a little better every day. And I'm going to unpack that for you in terms of our innovations and how we're able to do that. Tesco Bank. Does anybody know that we had a bank? So we've got a bank in service that's doing amazingly well. We're going through a divestment at the moment because we're selling part of it to Barclays. But again, part of that innovation because we want to keep the bits that we're really strong at. So we've got huge teams that are doing that bit of work. But how creative is it that people at the bank get to be involved in a merger and an acquisition piece? Would you have thought that was something Tesco would do? Also, the bank is innovating by linking their accounts to Club Card. So you've got Club Card points, you've got insurance. So as you go about buying your bread and beans and whatever else you might be buying, you're also gaining and that customer value. Just your everyday functional things that's also delivering more. So, did you know that we have thousands of fleets of delivery vehicles, a whole transport system? I can bore you to death about Bumblebee and all of the stuff that runs this service. We've got electric vehicles, etc., on the roads, delivering those things from our distribution centres to our stores, etc. Huge fleet, huge teams that run that. Huge technology that sits behind it to ensure that we've got just-in-time delivery, that we're not overstocking our distribution centres, our stores, all of that. Huge infrastructure that's looking after it. Talk to you about the green vehicles that we have. We've just started to run those electric vehicles on the roads so that we can offset our carbon emissions. We launched Whoosh in 2022, and that's our 1-hour delivery service that's now available. So I don't know if anybody's used Whoosh. So it just means that we are then innovating ourselves, using our scale, using our supply chain, which is huge, to then leverage on some of the things that you might get through Deliveroo or anything else. We've got Tesco Mobile, 5.5 million customers in the UK alone, but they're also in Central Europe, they're also in Ireland. So we've got that partnership with what is now Virgin Media and O2. We're half owners. That's another huge innovative piece for Tesco. So I don't know, does anybody use Tesco Mobile? Great, that's good to see. So one of our 5.5 million customers sitting right there. And then we've got huge distribution centres. I don't know if anybody's been to one of these, but they are just epic in terms of how they know how to stock those pallets. These things come in on huge lorries that you see, how they're distributed, how they're shipped out to stores, how they're unpacked. All of that is really innovative. And a lot of that is being run by robotics now. I wish I'd brought you a video. But all of that's been run by robotics. When you go to, especially the newer distribution centres, it's a feast. We're building 2 more. We're building one in Central Europe right now, and another one in the UK. And then we're talking about farm to table. This really excites me because now we can track your food from coming out of the ground until we sell it to you in the store. All of that chain, end to end, means that we know exactly where your produce is coming from, but somebody's got to build all of the systems that sits around that. Then we've got our network of thousands and thousands of stores, whether it be express, metros, big stores, huge, well, you see them everywhere. Tesco is a huge, huge employer of people. Then you've got Tesco Online. Innovative, this was launched in 2020. And during COVID, it went through the stratosphere. So I used to work in online. And for years, I'd go and say, is it possible that for my Christmas opening slots, can I just increase that by 200,000? Well, it's going to be on the backlog. We'll have this conversation. COVID hits. We stratosphered that. I went to 1 million. That was, like I'd been asking for that for about 2 years. Suddenly, we were able to do it. This is how creative people can be when there's a change. So change breeds that innovation. And Tesco is huge enough for you to be able to bring in some of those thoughts. And then we talked about Clubcard. So Clubcard is one of the biggest loyalty schemes that we have. And the data that sits behind that, huge, huge data. So we've got a company that we own called dunnhumby. I don't know if anybody knows that. That's a data company. And they mine that. So some of the creative things that you see, some of the AI that you might have seen in April this year, where we were doing some gamification so that customers could get some more value out of their club card, that's coming from that big data that sits behind all of that. It's running some of the things that you see on the shelves, how we do all of that shelf labeling, how we, like when people pick in stores that you see, how they move through that store. Somebody's designing that based on the information that is coming through the data sets and how it makes it easier to pick. Whoosh, we can now pick a Whoosh delivery in 7 minutes from our delivery centres. Oh, put that in twice, green delivery again. And then we've got wind farms. Did you know that we had wind farms? We're offsetting our carbon emission, and that's our ambition. That's part of our serving our planet because it's something we really care about. We know that we have lorries on the road. We know that we have trains, and we have lots of vehicles, and we have trains and planes and things that deliver our stuff. So we need to be really conscientious employers and conscientious planet keepers, so we try and offset our carbon with various initiatives that we have, especially with the electric vehicles. And also, like, I could talk to you about fulfillment, which is huge. Fulfillment transport, huge thing, because you might deliver something to a store, but who tells you what's already in store? You can't have overcapacity because there's only limited space. So what are you using to look at what's available there? All of that is interrelated, and it's got to be so harmonized for you to be able to run as effectively and sustain such a business at scale. And then this is our heart building, which is in our Welwyn Garden City office. And we are passionate about colleagues. We have all sorts of networks for our colleagues. I myself chair the Women in Tech network. I also sit on part of the DE&I network. But there's everything in TESCO. We really do value colleagues. There's training for everybody. It's really open. We're passionate about people learning the business and having the opportunity to move around. We train our managers to be good managers and also to be able to support whoever comes their way, because they might not have met somebody from that space, that environment, that culture before. So all of this to talk to you about TESCO is huge scale, but what sits behind that scale is huge technology. And I'm a little bit biased because whilst we have legal, we have all of these other business functions and marketing, etc., I'm from tech, so my focus is a little bit around tech. So TESCO technology is huge. We've got just software engineers alone, we've got 3,500 software engineers alone. That's before we count everybody else in. We've got tech across all of those 6 countries that I spoke to you about. And we have things that's called job families, which I'll talk to you about a little bit. But before I get to that, I wanted you to hear a little bit about 2 people that are in the early part of their careers, what they have to say. How much time have I got? Okay, what they have to say, maybe I'll only get to play one video, what they have to say about their career and how they've started. So they're a few years into their careers. So I'm just going to play one for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Zainab. I currently work as a digital analyst at TESCO in the online product analytics team. I've been in my role for about 2 years now, so I'm still quite early on in my career. In the 2 years that I've been at TESCO, I've supported a range of different teams for analytics requests. So some of those teams include the fulfillment missions, so click and collect and home delivery. I've also supported post-order, and right now I'm supporting the buy area in the recently launched marketplace. I'm also studying a part-time master's in computer science with artificial intelligence, and I'm doing this because I want to solidify my foundational knowledge in computer science, big data and machine learning, and also apply some of the things that I'm learning into my current role too. TESCO is always innovating at a large scale, but the purpose of me being here today is to speak about how innovation is happening in my current team. So as you can imagine, I do quite a lot of coding. So one of the innovations that I'd like to speak about is the introduction of generative AI. So using things like Copilot in my day-to-day work has really helped me a lot, because I've been able to debug some of my code a lot faster than I would have been able to before. So instead of running through hundreds of lines of code, I can just copy and paste it into Copilot, and it will tell me what the problem is like within seconds, compared to before where I have to go around in my team asking like what the issue is if I couldn't figure it out myself. So this has made, codes run a lot faster, and also it's made me be able to get to my solution a lot faster. Another way that I would like to talk about innovation in our team is also to do with the relational database management system that we use. So before, we were connected on a connection called Hive, and that connection was quite slow. So recently we have moved to the connection of Spark, and this has been a really great innovation in our team because it allows our queries to run a lot faster. We can also run more than one query in parallel at the same time, and we can also use Spark to use other querying languages as well. So having these innovations in our team allows us to provide the insights to the stakeholders at a much faster rate, as opposed to wasting so much time writing and running code. And providing these insights to the stakeholders allows them to make the decisions that will enhance the customer experience and directly impact the customer. So innovation at TESCO, it's quite deliberate. So I would say that we're always trying to look for a faster way to do things and a more efficient way of doing things. So that's how we have used innovation in my current team. Thank you.
So that was Zainab. So she's really amazing, really creative young person. So she couldn't be here with you today. I can't play the second video, which is Yasmin, which I can't now press. Okay, equally innovative, but maybe next time we'll be able to talk with you about it. Yasmin's a product manager. So I think I've got like 2 minutes. Thank you. So what I wanted to talk a little bit more about was the various job families that sit underneath technology. And I won't sort of unpack it. You can see that, but you can come and talk to me about a little bit more detail at the end. But we have Program, which is the job family that I'm part of. Every single job family works together. Data analytics, which Zainab was talking to you about, she's part of that job family. And the data science team as well, they're really linked. Those two are kind of our egg brain that sort of comes out with the insights and the data that sits behind some of the things that you see, and then some of the innovation and what allows us to manage at scale. Everybody's contributing to that. All of the job families who work together, all of them have their own distinct area. All of them are really key, strong places to be. And TESCO Technology is recruiting across all of those spaces, which I'll be more than happy to talk to you about. So, my name's Tayo Asani Alexis. I'm Lead Technical Program Manager at TESCO Technology. And if you want to know more, if you want to talk to me, I'm more than happy to field any questions that you might have in the room, or if you want to talk to my colleagues for roles that's currently available, they are at stand 32 right on the back wall, so please feel free. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tayo. Thank you. And everyone, give a round of applause. So, quick question. We wanted to go around the room. Does anyone have any questions for Tayo at the moment? Yeah? Okay, let me grab you.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I work in product at Multiverse. My question is related to the story you were telling about moving from online and when you were trying to really push opening more slots online and then they had to change anyway. What are some of your tips when it comes to selling your product vision? When you really believe in something, you've looked at all the data, you know that this is what customers are going to love. Like, what are some of your tips in like convincing leadership to kind of go with your product vision?
I think you've got to bring some of that energy, right? So first of all, you bring the facts, you bring the data, you bring the story. Because sometimes you have the right facts, but it's so dry people can't see that vision. So it's not enough for you to then say, but it says this, because if you can't tell the story of how it lands and you can't tell the story of how it's going to benefit the customer, then they're not going to follow you. They're not going to be with you on that journey. So you've got to make it factual, but you've also got to tell that story and take them on that journey, and you've got to bring that energy. Because sometimes, and then you've got to also find out who's into what. Because sometimes it might not be your line manager or your direct director. You might have to do, a left turn or a right turn, and that's okay. So I think you've really got to look at that and be brave enough to say, look, I believe in this thing, and I want to take it forward. The thing about TESCO is, if you've got an idea, you don't have to say, oh, I've got this idea, I'm going to my line manager. I've got this idea, and I can talk to my MD, because it's open to you. You're welcome.
Any other questions for Tayo?
Oh, hi. My name is Khalifa. I'm an LGV driver, like similar to the TESCO ones. But I wanted to know, like, how easy is it if you have no experience doing like a data analyst kind of role to get into that with no experience?
So it depends on. I don't think anybody has no experience, because you might have graduate experience. So maybe you come in as a grad. Maybe you come in as an intern if you haven't been a grad. So there is always something to come in on. And sometimes you've got previous experience of other things that you've done, and then you might be able to do an apprenticeship that then allows you to come in. So there's always some avenue, but it's just to explore that and what's going on in that particular space.
And last question for Tayo.
Hello, my name is Joshua, and I'm a repair technician. You mentioned the amount of data you have in terms of from the customers and stuff like that. How at TESCO do you keep that secure and maintain that so it doesn't get compromised?
So we have laws that governs that. We're really strict about how we do that. We have our data company that's separate to us, so that's where we keep some of our data. And then we have really good practices with the engineers and the teams that look after people's data. We have regular trainings all the time. We've got one going on now that ensures that we are all in compliance, and we all have to do that training. Even if you're a contractor, you have to do that training. You have to say that you know. And we're really encouraged to, if something's not right, to speak up about it. So it's just so easy to be able to pull various things up. If you don't need that data, you don't have access to it, you really have to go through all of that role access base to be able to access anything. So it's really heavily scrutinized, and you have to kind of have clearance to be able to deal with that. So it's not just sort of available to you.
All right, thank you for your question. And join me in giving a warm round of applause for Tayo again.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.